Hey everybody, so we're getting ready for today's live stream. We're going to be watching episode 201 of History, which I'm pulling up now. History season 2. Oh, I remember this one. Some good stories from this one. So let me get everybody else connected as you watch me get all this together. I'm sure these are some flattering angles. Hi, Instagram. Hi, YouTube. Okay, getting this all together. Wonder if more professional channels are more. Oh, hi, Black Widow. Get this together much easier than I do. And don't have to watch me set up all of my cameras and such. All right, so we're going to start the Zoom. So we've got Instagram, we've got YouTube, and Zoom. There we go. Just wait a few seconds. How's everybody doing? World is weird. You know, I've really been thinking about how to appropriately use my channels in a way that decides on the right side of history and what I actually believe in, and also is productive. It isn't just self-gratifying or self-promotive. It's not a word. It isn't performative, or doesn't come off as performative, because it certainly wouldn't be performative. So I think starting this weekend, the History channel on YouTube, the History channel on Instagram at HistoryWebs, I will start posting representations of Black excellence in the Necessary Outlet Productions. Obviously from this series, Bianca. We're going to post some of her best scenes and best work. I think we'll probably do Matthew Johnson Harris, who has a really great monologue on protesting, actually, in the movie Snowflake. I might make the first bit of content of Snowflake available for everybody, since it really shows a really fantastic performance by a fantastic Black actor. I know there are other examples. Big Law. I don't think we had a Black cast member in Big Law. There was a character that was written. Julian was written Black, but we didn't have an actor for it. There are plenty of other things. So I think that's what I am going to do in order to do something meaningful and productive. All right. So it looks like we have low, not really today. So there's only probably 1, 2, 3. Do we want to continue to go forward? I leave it to you to vote whether we go with a small audience tonight or pick it up next week. I'm happy to watch it. Awaiting your votes in your chats. Yes, always. Okay. All right, we'll do it. All right, so comments about this episode. So what we're watching is Season 2, Episode 2, Worth It. This is the HIV episode. This episode got a lot of feedback. The point of the episode was to showcase how in a post-PrEP world, for someone whom was very sexually active in a pre-PrEP world, how that underlying fear that you used to live with, you know, constantly being worried that your sexual encounters were going to result in you getting a life-threatening illness, didn't just go away with PrEP. That that underlying fear still exists in our sexual encounters and comes out in different ways. So that was really the purpose of this episode, to showcase that. And it also showed Jamie. So Jamie, the way that Jamie grapples with this is that his love interest for the season is HIV positive. And when it comes out, he really has to grapple with his history with having been exposed to HIV and how he dealt with it in the past and how he's dealing with it now. And then the other thing I'll just mention, aside from the plot, is this is the first appearance of Steven, played by Roger Yeah. Roger Yeah is fantastic. The role of Steven was previously cast. Someone else had the role. And I was still auditioning people, and so we, because you never know. And so he came in and he wanted to read for Steven. And like everyone, after he left the room, everyone in the room was just like, oh my God, I love this guy. Like, it was a wonderful portrayal. And we were all very like wooed. He did a monologue from this episode. And basically he stole the part from another actor and certainly never regretted it. He was really fantastic. And it also gave us great representation because we have a lead gay love interest in this series played by an Asian American who's not being portrayed as an effeminate character. So I wish I could say that was a conscious choice of mine, but it just happened getting a really fantastic actor. And that was it. And he beat out a white actor. So there you go. It's of the moment. All right. Let's watch it. We're watching Worth It. It's on the YouTube page, youtube.com/necessaryoutlet. Look at the History Season 2 playlist. It'll be the third video called Worth It. And I am starting it in 3, 2, 1. Don't have any cast members with me, so I will chime in with things as I see it. So this opening was in the web searching. This was in our so the same place that we filmed the hookup from the past with Warren, I think his name was. I don't remember what we called him. We filmed that in the same apartment. Dimitri, one of our sound guys. I have a different apartment. This is 2 apartments ago, but all the furniture is exactly the same. My view's nicer now, though. At the 7 train. Oh, this is when Tilapia started. So that is based off of the character that the person that Matthew is based off of. He had this obsession with the word tilapia for a while. It was the thing. Can't tell you. So it was one of those things where he had to do, third person, I had to do a long text chain, and it was like, how long do it, like, because if it comes up so fast and it's that big, it's like, well, he didn't really type that. Oh, I remember this. I would burn him alive. So that happens all the time now. Not masturbating, I mean, that does because we're home with COVID, so that does happen a lot. But man, do people send videos now all the time? Brian Tracy, no relation. Love him. Fantastic actor. Was so happy to have him. Gave him a guest spot in the movie. He was so fun. Doing this scene with him was so fun.
6 months ago. Sometime in the last 6 months. And you noticed this yesterday morning?
Oh yeah, it was not there before.
Yeah.
I have to say, it's nice to have a gay doctor for this sort of stuff. I remember when I was in college, I got scabies. The doctor asked me if I frequented the bathhouses.
He probably wanted to know where they were. Do you want to do a pill twice a day for 2 weeks or one shot in the butt?
Oh, over and done option, please.
Which is probably how you got into this pickle in the first place.
It's such a fun scene. I like this one. We filmed this in like it was in the middle of Times Square in some like cosmetology office. So we had, that's why it's pink. But we had to like move the things that would look doctor-like into frame and move. There were all sorts of esthetician stuff that like wouldn't make sense. I'm pretty sure this was a place just where people go for like Botox and Restylane.
Shameful. There are times when it's okay, stand up, drop trow, and bend over.
Usually you buy me dinner first.
No, you don't.
All right, well, when David gets up here, I'm going to have to go, okay?
Oh man, without the beard. So this is, I mean, just watching this is hilarious because it looks like I'm wearing a fucking wig. But every time we would do past scenes, I would just brush my hair this way. Like, oh no, 10 years ago, today. Ugh, budget. And shave the beard. So David is played by Justin Randall, who has become a very famous stand-up comic. He has tons of followers on Twitter. He has stuff that goes viral all the time. He's very funny. His stand-up's great.
Yeah, well, that's why you can bring my car. All right, oh, David's here. Gotta go. Love you, Mom. Are you going?
We're talking about that last phone conversation we had. Are you going to break up with me?
This one was so hard to do because we had to keep staging it. Obviously, she didn't see my junk, and so that she didn't see. So there were several scenes where like he has underwear on, and the camera angles and the coordination was very difficult for this one.
See exactly 3 over boys.
Like that turn, we had to film that multiple. So I had to like hide the sock. We did that so many times, and it was so hot. I'm just noticing we have the same hair swoop now.
Then that sucks for me too. Oh, was he then? Fuck him then. He has issues. I don't understand people are HIV. No better. Just use a condom. You're doing what you cover. Do those.
This is so funny because when this was filmed, this was much more.
Are you kidding?
Like I'll tell you, as a homosexual who has sex currently and is single,
How many guys?
most people do not use condoms anymore. Most people do not, like at all.
I don't know.
And so this is just funny to watch in such a period in time.
10.
Gee, they're dirty guys.
I've seen some of them deep.
What's dirty have to do with it? Why are you yelling at me?
We don't use condoms.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
So
Yeah, we've never been tested.
the reason this episode got so much feedback is I think people misunderstood some of the more.
We used condoms for like 2 months. Obviously, neither of us has. This is not a big deal.
Yeah, we don't have.
People didn't understand that some of the people who have say problematic things in this weren't my voice. It wasn't the voice of the author. It was meant to put voice
I know, AJ, and you were never tested. That's fine. That's it.
to opinions that people do have and people do say. Like, this is real shit. So it kind of, it got some negative reaction because it was like, you know, he said that he could, tell if someone had HIV because they were like a dirty person. And it's like, no, I don't believe that. That is wrong. But people do think that. And I wanted to portray someone having that point of view and being challenged by it.
This is going to be a really uncomfortable conversation, but I thought I should do it in person. Okay?
This was one of the first things we filmed. This was probably the second weekend. And we wanted to film somewhere else. And there was an outdoor security guard kept kicking us out. So this is actually right across the street from where I used to work.
No. I thought it's not about that. It's about us getting treated. Okay. I'll make an appointment.
And this was there are so many things that I wanted to show in this episode that
I mean,
were
you could have had it for a while.
just points of view that I wanted to show. So I wanted to show the person who takes the news from someone they hooked up with, having an STI. Well, I wanted to show them taking it as like, oh, this is just that happens. Thanks. And to really floor Jamie that like, because he was expecting this to be like awkward and whatever. And
I take a shot, just once and done.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it? Yeah, but it's an ass shot and it fucking hurts. My ass is still. Okay. I can get it done today. I don't see why not. Okay. Then that's what I'll do. Okay. But my ass is still sore on a date later this week. I'm gonna need to make it better. I think that's the least I can do.
there's so many good shots in this. Oh, and then the thought of like having to like text all the people that you have hooked up with in the window. Yeah, it was really important to show the sort of like this just like side of every day, just like single life period, but also, single gay life. This is shit that happens. And then the person who takes it well and the person who doesn't take it well. Yeah, so this is the same place. We basically filmed everything in this one set for the past for this one. This guy was, I forget the actor's name. He was a recommendation. Hector, that's the character's name.
I love him. So stop.
Then why am I fucking?
I told you to wear a condom.
I did.
Well, where the fuck is it?
Where the fuck is it? Well, it's gonna look kind of hard to get for a while. Seriously. Just give me some.
Again, showing real things that happen that are uncomfortable. I mean, I guess if the history has a byline, that's the byline to history. Real things that are uncomfortable. History, a web series.
so fucking stupid. Like, I wonder how he actually functions. And he's getting married to an actual human person. I don't even know how he gets dressed in the morning. Stop. The other day, he came to me with a question, a fucking ridiculous question, like about one of the core functions of a job that he's been doing for 6 years. So I actually said out loud.
So, as I mentioned last week,
Just came out of my mouth.
I bet you are a terror to work for.
I run a benevolent honor at best.
Catherine, Carissa was like 8 to 9 months pregnant at this point, so all of her scenes are here up. Like she wasn't just pregnant, she was pregnant.
She's a keyboard though. On the phone, she's a coward, but on email, you know I can't stand a bitch. When I looked her up on the company intranet, oh my god, she looks like a county fair vendor. Who sells some fucking pies?
Just this idea of like girl chat and like them staying in touch. They're all in different cities.
Would you say in comparison?
Every time there's a
I think you got cut off.
doorbell ring, Maxie thinks, "No, that was just the TV, buddy." Someone emerged from his slumber.
Hello?
How dare you schedule a booty call on Ladies Go Date Them?
I didn't. This is the writer I have a second date with next week. Oh shit, is that tonight?
If you don't know whether or not you have a date tonight, you're dating too many people, Jameson.
No, I'm sure that's next week.
Is this Steven? The guy you're always texting?
Yeah, well, was texting. I blew that off a bit.
What's wrong with texting?
Well, nothing. It's just we've had one date. One date. I mean, it's great, but it isn't that weekend. I'm suspicious of anyone who's that excited that early.
Ooh, you're great.
I'm not that great. It just makes me wonder if it really wasn't me.
So,
Well, then it's not about me. It's about, like, wanting a warm body.
Oh, still dealing with that today.
It's really about me. Person.
Surprised that doorbell didn't make Maxie go nuts.
Hey. He said suspiciously. No, you did not forget. Good. I was wondering. So, what's up? Well, it's unusually cool out tonight, and I have to drink some matcha. So I went to go pick some up, and I thought maybe there's an opportunity to want some too.
aww.
Bye! I think that sounds great.
So this was something this was intentional. The fact that Colin, these subtle hints of like the awkwardness of dating multiple people at the same time. Like he's not exclusive with anybody. It's all fair game. But the idea that he's like having this impromptu date with Steven, who he's very excited by, while he's missing a call from someone else he's dating, who he likes, probably isn't super excited by, but is still spending time with. That like subtle awkwardness of split attention was something I really wanted to show.
Excitement comes off as
And trying to show the difference between really liking someone and having a sexual chemistry and having banter and having fun and like thinking that something could work out, and then just the difference when it's just a little, when there's some magic, when it's all that plus just a little something else. And with Steven, it was a little something else. Jamie has probably only had,
Sure, there are sex boys and cute boys.
I mean, considering all 3 seasons, this was probably closest for Jamie, other than who he ends up with at the end of season 3. That person, we're in it if you haven't seen season 3, and Steven are probably the only people Jamie's truly been in love with. Or come close to.
I've never met someone I wanted to go out of my way to bring.
Sure, if you have questions, to send them through the chats. I know there aren't many people today, but if you got a question, I got answers. She's got opinions. He was a good kisser too. I'm sure you don't like. Oh God, the gay magazines when they ask you about this show, that's always what they want to talk about. Who was the best kisser? Who was a good kisser? Who was this and that? And it's like, one, this is work. Two, I'm also the director and the writer, and because the content has so much sex, it's very uncomfortable for me to be like, oh, I never want it to seem like I'm doing this so I can just like make out with dudes on camera, you know, like. So Jamie reaching down and sort of fondling him and being like, oh my God, at like how large it is, was something that we put in. We wanted to battle stereotypes. So that was just something important to battle stereotypes. I felt that. Oh, so young.
Situation. If you want to finish over, just watch it. There's just never a good way to say it. It's just say before and not after.
I'm just so happy with how good this looks. Oh my goodness. We had so many problems filming this. There was something wrong with the camera. There was like a wire loose. And so if we moved the camera a certain way, we'd lose it. I think like me doing this, I was doing it in succession like 20 fucking times. Oh.
Hi. You look for jobs today?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, remember Hector from Jersey City?
So the idea was
I think so.
that was not water.
Yeah. Why?
So that screen grab, it's modeled off of like what man used to look like.
I told him I don't think he'd be into it though. Why not? He's positive. What? Yeah, I mean, he didn't put it on his profile or anything, but someone told me about it a while ago. Shame, because I didn't do it.
And the idea that back then, see, this is hard to watch now because it's funny. Because at that time, in a pre-prep world, that was something people thought about. They'd be like, oh, he is HIV, so he's not an option. You know, that is something people used to think. So the one thing I remember with this is
Don't come to me.
telling him like we need to see that you've come in some way, and then Jamie like very quickly like wipes it up because like he's cool with all of this, but he is not, and he is like super nervous and on edge the whole time.
I let you bail on me so you can have dinner with Sean, so now you need to spill. Tea. Sean,
It's good.
How many dates has it been? How long have you been dating? Do you
I love
like
these
him?
scenes with the three of them.
Sex. Was the sex good? Are you developing feelings for him? I don't really do feelings chats.
So secretive. Anyways, Kyle and I are moving along. We made out the other night, finally. He came over to pregame before we hung out with his friend Lee, and we ended up just getting shit-faced and then made out before we passed out.
Nice. Well, maybe just need to get his ambitions now.
It was a little weird in the morning, but it's progress.
Weird how.
Like he wasn't there, but
He wasn't there.
and he left a little money for wine,
Like a prostitute.
like an escort. Anyways, how was your second date with Stephen, mommy?
Great. But I am again afraid I'm late with Ben.
You are. Why, mommy?
Alright. Circle of trust. I have to confide in you about something, but in order to do so, I'm pretty sure I have to break the confidence of someone else. So, I mean, I wouldn't, but it's not going to make sense.
Just say it.
No, I'm serious. Circle of trust.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
That was something
Stephen is HIV positive.
we wrote into the dialogue just because I didn't like. He just in the original script he just went into it, and then we kind of thought about it, and we were like, well, this makes Jamie a bad person for him to just tell Stephen's business to other people, even if he's trying to get advice from his friends. So we wrote that dialogue exchange at the top to sort of justify, like, okay, we all understand this is sensitive information, and
On sex, not ever.
So the problem is,
Problem is that the reason it was so hot is because we're so dangerous.
what is it though? If everything you've said is true, it's actually incredibly safe.
But it's so
and this also was before, but this was filmed before the studies, conclusively showed that if you are undetectable, you can't transmit. And that news came out while this was airing, I believe, which was great for me for this episode.
It's actually might be the first HIV positive person that I've known in this life. I don't know if I can do that again. I have a very real fear of HIV. Even with PrEP. I mean, I don't like that I do. But I do. Catherine, what am I going to do?
Go get tested tomorrow. It'll be fine.
I don't know how the condoms off. I don't know if you tape it all.
I'm sure you will be fine. And even if you're not fine, even in worst case scenario, you'll go get tested, you'll get some medicine, you'll take care of yourself, and you'll be fine.
It was
For
important
what it's worth.
to show, as afraid as he was,
We've all had
that it's manageable.
some
know.
results panic attack before, right? Guys in the PrEP generation just haven't felt that.
Well, for those of us